Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Roast into Ceilings podcast. And today we're joined by a special guest. Care to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm so glad to be here. So, my name is Libby Supan, and I am a therapist and certified intuitive eating coach. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here with you guys.
Just wondering if you could go into a little bit what intuitive eating entails. How is this maybe different from
Yes,
another eating coach?
absolutely. Okay, so I actually have the perfect response to my summary of intuitive eating, and I have it written down, and I'll give me 1 second because I came up with my whole definition of it because this is the one question everyone always asks me. Because intuitive eating, there is so much involved with intuitive eating, it can be very confusing. Okay, so this is Libby's definition. What is intuitive eating? It brings together our gut feelings, emotions, and thinking patterns into a collective whole. You're the expert on your own body. Only you know your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Only you know how hungry you are and what food or meal will satisfy you. It's like having a team inside of us. We have our gut feeling teammate who helps us make quick decisions, our emotion teammate who tells us how we feel, and our thinking teammate who helps us make smart choices. When we work together as friends, we become really good at understanding ourselves and making the right decisions. So, intuitive eating is a mindful and holistic approach to eating that encourages individuals to listen to their body's hunger and fullness cues rather than following strict diets or external rules. It's about reestablishing a healthy relationship with food, free from guilt or restrictions. In essence, it's all about eating based on your body's signals, nurturing a positive connection with food. That's long. So
Wow, that was really in depth.
I
Um,
know.
with first questions I have is this
Yeah.
all kind of seems like your I guess like what I took from that is intuitive eating is kind of like just your body's regular regulation of hunger and just how your body naturally like eats what it wants to eat. So my question is, how come we've strayed from that? How come this isn't really the norm anymore?
You're just so wise and such a wonderful question to ask. Um, yeah, I can tell you why. It's because of the fat phobic society we live in. And because of the fat phobia and weight bias that we live in, especially in the country, United States, we have diet culture. And diet culture throws down these messages that are not true, they are not factual, and all they want is our money. And so it's okay. So it's like kind of at the same time, we're given the message that fat is bad and fat is wrong. And if you're fat, you're bad and you need to lose weight and you're unhealthy. When actually, none of that is true. It could be just like a thin person could be unhealthy, but just because you live in a certain body size means nothing. It truly means you live in that body size. Sure, you might be unhealthy, but you might not be. So it's like because we come from this obsession with fatness and thinness, we have this diet culture umbrella kind of maybe side by side or on top of it, maybe. And so because of this, they have a lot to sell, right? Because all of us down here are so terrified of fat and gaining weight because it's the worst thing in the world because they've told us. Um, so diet culture then knows, ooh, these are vulnerable people that all want to lose weight. They're so scared to gain weight. Let's give them product to buy that's never going to work because diets don't work. Diet products don't work. Like maybe temporarily, but you can't, it's not sustainable. So it's like obsession with fatness, throwing down fake solutions just because they want your money. We all are these little puppets and we do whatever the diet or the person says. We fail because this fails. We think we're the failure. They tell us we're the failure. We try the next one. We try the next one. But every time we do something to our body that tries to manipulate it, that's considered disordered. Manipulate it for like appearance reasons. It's disordered. And all of those dieting behaviors are what makes us actually gain weight. That is why, like every year, I hate the word obesity, but it's like the obesity epidemic. Oh, like it keeps getting worse. And that's why. It's because of the fat phobia tied with the diet culture and that us down here, kind of like ground level, most people don't understand that this is actually all false. but it's about money, and that's why it's the narrative, So I just kind of went on a real tangent. Did that make sense?
No, for sure. But just another question to add on to that. You mentioned how there's a lot of it just ties back down to fat phobia. But I do know that this is like really, really, really prevalent in Western cultures, but like not so much in some other places. Do you think there's like a specific reason why Western cultures specifically are so obsessed with this idea of being fat?
I think so much of it stems from like the fact that we have Hollywood and we have the movies and fame and celebrities. Not that other countries don't, but like here it's just kind of everything. We live in a society where we praise wealth and celebrity and we shun, I don't know, maybe industries like mental health and therapy. And, we're, if we're in the system, we're paid pennies. Whereas, as we know, like sports people, athletes, and celebrities, and whoever, beauty people, I mean, they can have a lot more wealth. It's a lot easier in that sense. And I'm pretty sure, like in my opinion, like that's where it stems from. Is we are so obsessed with changing ourselves, with being different, with being better. But better means like appearance, because that's just the narrative of this country.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So, as an intuitive eating coach, what would you say is some of the first steps to being aware of that thought process that's kind of drilled into us by our society?
Well, the first place to start, I guess, is you have to be to a person, or you have to be a person that is open to this, because most people can't hear it. They're not going to hear what you have to say. They're so entrenched in the false, like misinformation. Like I used to be, I would not hear the other way. It was like, no, like you don't know what you're talking about, because these messages are so loud. Um, I'm sorry, I now forgot the question. Did you say like where does one start?
Like, how do we start being aware of this thought process? How do we start healing from it?
Yeah. So I think there's a few things. I think the very first thing to do is to, as much as you can, control your environment and the messages you receive. So I think most of us are on social media. And I always say, especially to my clients, like the first thing we're going to do is clean up your social media accounts. We're going to make your algorithms work for you. So I want you to unfollow anything that makes you feel bad about yourself. So like Finspiration, Fitspiration, like diety type pages, like, I don't know, fitness pages that not all fitness pages are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But, the ones that are like, um, lose weight by this time, like pro intentional weight loss, anything like that, unfollow. Any kind of like fashion type of account that only portrays thin bodies, unfollow. Even if it's friends or family, for whatever reason, like you just don't feel good about yourself when you go to their account, mute them for now. Clean up your account. And another really, really important thing is getting your brain to be more open. So I have to retrain my brain. I need to work on my fat phobia. So what I'm going to do is force images of my size body and bigger into my brain. And what that's going to do is show my brain there are lots of different sizes and varieties of bodies. And so I'm going to start following accounts that show those images of my size body and larger, and to really stop looking at the images of thinner bodies, because it's like a lot of it is like done to us, but like we do have agency, but it's work, it's work. And depending on how long you've kind of been in it. So I think both of you are 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I'm 45. So by the time like I was doing this, I mean, it had been decades of this entrenchment and like these messages and these beliefs being ingrained in my brain. So it's a whole kind of brain retraining when you get to the point where you're like working with me per se.
Yeah. Um, like you said, you've mentioned like all of these things that take work to do to like change your thought pattern. A lot of people might think just like, oh, that's like a lot, but I don't even feel like I'm being negatively affected right now. Could you talk about some of the benefits of intuitive eating? Like what would help people switch over?
Yeah. So the first thing is we as human beings are all born intuitive eaters. We just are. Depending on the caretakers, the parents, whoever, the environment you live in, um, you know, I mean, we're all born intuitive eaters, but depending on your environment, like might determine how soon you get into the diet mentality. So it could, I don't know, whatever age, it could be 3 years old, I'm not sure. But at some point kind of along the way, we lose our path in being intuitive eaters because we hear so many of these messages, we don't know to question them. It's just what we're told. So it's like over time, these messages become my thoughts. And then I have these thoughts so often, they now become my beliefs. So it's like I'm walking around in a world having these thoughts and beliefs that are totally false, but I have no idea. So I don't even know to question it, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so I didn't even answer your question. Your question is like why one would want to do intuitive eating. Yeah. Okay. So, right. So we're all born intuitive eaters. So it's the way we're meant to be. Like that's how we are supposed to be as humans. We're not supposed to try to manipulate our bodies to conform to some kind of societal ideal. Um, so it's getting back into your own. That's one thing, which might not be enough like motivation for somebody. The biggest thing is, well, and I think for most people, because most people are into body size and weight loss or fear of weight gain, here's what I can tell you. You're more likely to go up and down in weight and have long-term weight gain that could possibly be permanent by dieting. By intuitive eating, you get to your set point, which is the weight your body wants to be at, and your body wants to keep you there. So it's hard for your body to go up or down from that set point. Um, and it's a natural way of being. It also frees up your mind. So if you're somebody who, let's say, has disordered eating or an eating disorder, like I used to, I knew I was obsessed, but I didn't know to the extent until some of it started clearing away out of my brain when I started getting better. Like today, I am a very different person because I have space in my brain to think about other things. It's all I used to think about was what am I going to eat? What are you not going to eat? Can you eat that? Can you not eat that? What did you eat last night? Okay, what does that mean for today? Then what do I do for exercise? Okay, I have to look at my schedule. I mean, it was just constant. So it frees you up to live life, like to actually have a life.
That sounds really amazing. But I'm also curious about one thing you mentioned just now, where you said a lot of these messages become your thoughts, and you don't even really realize that those aren't like they're not healthy thoughts. What are some signs you can kind of use to tell if you are having these kind of thoughts that should not be there? Like, what are some of the signs?
I think a sign will be, I mean, I think it's different for everybody, right? We're so individualized, but I think the biggest thing is when you notice a pattern of feeling bad about yourself and worse about yourself, and like maybe you have this anxiety, fear, or panic that, God, I have to be better. Like, I've got to fix that, or I need to change, or it's kind of this like anxious anxiety type of energy. And then I'm not good enough. I'm less than. I need to be better. I need to stop doing that. Um, Stop doing that meaning like I need to stop eating donuts or whatever it is. So I think it's more about like a feeling and an energy and a thought process overall. And I
Mm,
think it's another thing, and I will say this to everybody, use critical thinking. Ask yourself, like, who's giving me this message? Like, that message is actually from Weight Watchers. Okay, but they say they're not a diet. Okay, I don't want a diet, so that sounds good. But how are they not a diet if it's Weight Watchers? Okay, what does Weight Watchers want? Their bottom line is they want your money. Okay, so if they want your money and their whole model is a diet, if they want to keep you as a client, let's say, or customer, how are they going to retain you if their diet works? Right. So
Mm,
it's like, if I'm Weight Watchers and all I want is money and I want you to be my client for forever, why would I make something that actually works? You know,
for sure.
I think that's part of it. So I think just like really being open and questioning and being curious, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much for that answer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely. I never thought about I think the almost marketing perspective of it, of why they're doing these things to try to get people to diet. So as young
Yeah,
teens, especially young teen girls, I think Maggie would agree that we're definitely surrounded with a lot of this type of media, especially at school, maybe a lot of peer pressure to look at our bodies and think about our body image. So how do you say is something you would recommend to teen girls to kind of improve our
yeah,
mentality around this issue?
yeah. And it's so hard. I work with several teen clients and I just so feel for all of you. I mean, I remember what it's like being a teenager and I know it's really different today. Yeah, I think as far as body image goes, it's so hard. There's so much pressure on you. So much is your environment.
Mm,
And also as a teen, so much is out of your control. So it's what do you live in a house where mom is constantly on a diet talking crap about her body size? Or are you in a house that's like free and neutral? And are your friends, are they like, I don't know, maybe the cool girls that like all want to get skinny and like look cute or whatever? Or are you hanging out with, I don't know, the other cool kids that are like, whatever, like let's just play. Um, so I think it's like having enough self-awareness to know that you need to make this a priority and then make decisions from there. And as much as you can do with what's in your control, do that. And I think that's a really hard ask for teens. I mean, what do you guys think?
I what you said about the environment, yeah, it's super true. Applies almost everywhere, I feel. Isabel, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've started paying attention to how comfortable and easy it is for some of our classmates and peers to say, "Oh, um, I'm gonna go to Tim Hortons to get fat," or "Oh, this is my friend that I hang out and get fat with," or like, "Oh, I don't want to have this extra Starbucks when the friend brings something because I'm gonna get fat." I've started noticing how almost acceptable it is to say this
Yeah.
kind of things. Um, which is strange to me because I feel like in the last 2 years, especially over in quarantine, there was a huge body image positivity movement.
Mm-hmm.
And for those few years, I started noticing people were less likely to talk publicly about this, to be able to say like, I don't like my body. I don't like being fat. Like these things were not being said when the movement was really big. But recently, again, I've been like trying to consciously notice this.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's almost
Yeah.
4 blocks a day. There's somebody mentioning, "Oh yeah, I ate so much last night. I got fat." So I think it's definitely, you have to know that like it is super hard to change your mindset when that's all you're surrounded by all day.
I know. I
Mhm.
know. And exactly what you're saying, Maggie, when you have that narrative in our society, like at school, oh my gosh, I ate that extra Starbucks drink. I'm so fat. What message is that? The message is, okay, well, guess what? All of you people out there that are fat or whoever has fat, you're disgusting, you're wrong, and you're bad. So it's like, and I'm not blaming the kids, it's like they don't know any different or better. But if you do, be better, be kinder, think about your audience, who's listening to you. I mean, that's super, super offensive and judgmental and like could even be considered bullying in a way.
Love that you brought up both environment and self-awareness because, like Maggie said, definitely in our school, I think fat shaming has been really normalized. And it's definitely like a herd mentality thing too. Like people think that because other people can call themselves or their friends fat, that it's okay for us to do that, when really that's
Yeah,
just normalizing the toxicity in the environment.
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm curious for you two, do you go to the same school?
Yeah, we do. Yes.
Yeah, okay. What's it like for you at school with this and like your friend group? I don't know. I would imagine if I was you in high school, people would rip all over me and be like, "You loser! What do you stand for? Like, you're so dumb." So I don't know. What is it like for you guys? I
Well, I
think you're
feel
brilliant, by the way.
thank you. Um, I don't know, at school, people don't really tend to like the people we surround ourselves with the closest, like just our immediate friend group, we don't really have this conversation of like any of these things where it's like, oh, you can't eat that, blah, 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 which I think is great. But as soon as you kind of go to class, talk to just your peers that you're not super close with, you start to be like, oh, this is everywhere. What do you think is about that?
Yeah, I think we've definitely had that issue with some of our friends kind of being told that they were either overweight or needed to lose weight. And I'm really like happy that they were able to kind of disconnect from those people because like we were saying, it's so normalized that they almost think, oh, yeah, it's okay for them to say that to me because everybody is saying it. So I think for us, we've kind of found that ground where we're able to stay disconnected from that. But I know it's definitely a big issue in our
It's
school.
everywhere. Our schools had just a lot of issues with that. I think last year there was okay. Last year we had a school gossip account posted where people
Gosh,
send in things calling everyone fat. So many people were like body shamed on there.
that
The
sounds
school
awful.
had to take
Was it a
action.
student that started that?
Yeah, yeah, no, of course. And
Oh my
it was
God.
multiple names, multiple people sending it in. And I saw first
Wow.
person what damage it does to someone to have their name like that. Because to someone sending it in, it's just blah 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 is fat, send, closed app, moves on with their life. But to the person being sent, you can see the amount of impact, and it's not pretty.
And you know what? You're reminding me. I remember working in a treatment center a few years back, and I was, anyways, in charge of the eating disorder treatment program. And one of my clients was in seventh grade. And the reason she was in treatment is because she tried to take her life because of the bullying she was receiving from some online forum where all the kids were just ripping her apart for her face and like what she was doing with her eyebrows. But it's like when you're that age, that's everything. And it's not okay. You know, I'm so sorry to hear that. And whoever was like negatively affected by that, whatever that thing with the gossip thing, I mean, that makes me really sad.
Seventh grade is so young, and every age in high school is so young because like when you see it, like what you said, this is everything. Like this is if you really think about the broad scheme of things, your appearance, honestly, it's not gonna end your life, but it does feel
Right.
like it's the end of your life in high school, and
Yeah.
it kind of becomes like a little bubble where that's all you think about. So do you have any advice for people who like, how do you break out of that? How do you break out of that bubble?
Break out of like which bubble? The bubble of like self-hatred
Like
or
constantly
like
thinking my appearance is all that matters. Everyone hates me because my appearance. I'm nothing if
yeah.
I'm like losing weight.
Okay. So best case scenario, you're able to talk to some adult and you're able to get into therapy. Like seriously, that is what I suggest. But saying that, most of the people that DM me on my social media accounts are teens and they're just like desperate and begging for like some kind of solution or answer from me. And the first thing I'll always say is, have you talked to your parents? Most all teens say, yep, my parent doesn't believe me. Yep, my parent doesn't believe in mental health. Yep, my parent thinks I'm faking it. Or no, I can't tell my parent. And it breaks my heart. So the first thing to do is try to seek support or help. And if you can't do that, like go to somebody at your school that you trust. So some schools have counselors. I worked at a school once for as a counselor, maybe the nurse. Um, I think when you're in a school, high school, junior high, whatever, you have a good sense of like the adults that are kind of on your side. So I would say go to somebody you can trust and just let them know what's going on. Also, I want you guys to know, whoever's listening, when you are 12 years old or older, you have legal agency to seek your own help. So just know that, and I'm not going to go into all like the steps and all that, but I mean, that's something that, if you're 12 and older and this is your situation, like I would Google it. Like, how do I seek help on my own? I'm 12.
Do you know if that's like just an American thing, or is that international?
I'm pretty sure that's just a United States thing.
Ooh, okay, great. So if any of our
Yeah.
viewers are American, that's for you.
Wait, where do you guys live?
Canada.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. So it's bad like that in Canada too? Bad like this in Canada too?
Think the Western world, maybe it's going on other places too, but that's I guess mainly
Okay.
what we see in media. So
No, but
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. I
Canada.
assumed you lived
Mhm.
here.
it's
Sorry, what'd
okay.
you say?
It's basically the same place.
I know, right?
Close.
But like what you mentioned, Isabella, about the Western world, since we're both Chinese, I feel like we can also speak on the fact that it is also
Oh, that's true.
horrible on the Eastern side of things too. When I talk to
Yeah.
my cousins in China, second cousins, whatever, they have it so much worse there too, because for them it's even more normalized, not just in schools, but also in family. Like it's very
Yeah.
normal in many places of Asia just to be like, you gotta be skinny, but not just like even on the skinnier side of like a normal health. You gotta be like underweight to be like
Huh.
that's the norm. And you'll see on Chinese social media flooding around these like charts where it's like if you're this tall, you should be. Have you seen these as well? You have to be this. If you have to be this weight, if you're this,
Oh,
be this weight, and then you look it up, and that's like 20 pounds below what you should be, and it's just
right.
normalized culture there. So I think yeah, every single culture almost in the world
I
is
know.
experiencing this. It's crazy.
I know. I know. And yeah, yeah. And going back to your question about, if you're stuck in that kind of like self-hatred bubble of like all you want to do is change and fix yourself, I think again, like, try to seek help and get real professional help. I think the other thing is like seriously find the accounts on social media that are quality. Like the words to look for would be intuitive eating, body neutrality. I wouldn't even go to body positivity. And I can tell you why, but I would do body neutrality, body respect, um, body acceptance, intuitive eating, food freedom, anti diet, non diet. Um, those are the things I would look for when you want to try to find accounts. I mean, I think about it like when I was a teenager, if I lived in a world that had social media like it did today, I'm so glad I didn't. But if I was a teenager that was able to get the good stuff, like follow the actual good accounts, there is so much good stuff out there that I'm just, as a clinician, like all of us on social media, like I don't make a penny on social media. And I spend so much time making videos that are, information, educational or whatever. So find the accounts that give the good stuff. So many of us give out freebies. Like I have a link that I can send you if you want to put it in the show
Oh,
notes
for
to
sure.
freebies. Like I made my own food freedom ebook that has like questions and prompts and whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think kind of try everything that you can
Mhm. Could you touch
because
on a little bit what you just mentioned about the body positivity versus neutrality thing?
yes, yeah, the white woman. Okay, so here's what happened. So the person in the bigger body, and I don't know like which person or who or when or whatever, but this is generally what happened. So the person who had the bigger body, the non-conventional body size, made a movement called body positivity. And so then all the people in curvy bodies, bigger bodies, plus size bodies, whatever you want to call them, were kind of like, yes, this is great. Like, let's recognize our body size, body positivity, hashtag body positive, hashtag body positivity. And then the thin white woman said, well, wait a second. I want to be body positive. I can't be just because I'm skinny. So then the white woman took over, the white thin woman took over and started like pushing it out. And well, I'm body positive too, but like, yeah, well, you live in a straight size thin body. Like, how? Sorry. Anyways, so the thin white woman ruined body positivity. And that is why we now, where we go is body neutrality, body respect, and body acceptance.
For
That's
sure.
the story.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about, I've seen a lot of controversy over just the term fat phobia on the internet in real life. Some
Yeah.
people are trying to say like it's not, there's no prejudice there, there's no discrimination there. And I wanted to know from like your experience, how does it exist in real life? How does it affect people?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of giggling because yes, I know. People will argue with me, but I mean, I'm not arguing, but like I'll make a video on fat phobia and then I get comments that are like, "You're so stupid. That's not a thing. It doesn't exist." And it's like, "Huh? So where does it show up?" I mean, it's everywhere. It's the size of the seats in airplanes. It's airlines actually make you purchase an additional seat to sit in an airplane because they can't accommodate your body size. That's fat phobia. Fat phobia is businesses, clothing companies that only make up to a certain size. That's fat phobia. Fat phobia is like I'm eating a snack and I really I really want these almonds, but I'm going to count them out because I don't want to eat too many. I'm going to have 20. So I count out these 20 almonds because I'm scared. I don't want to gain weight. Um, Fat phobia is when I put my jeans on and they're too tight and I look in the mirror and I'm just disgusted with myself and I say, "You are disgusting. You need to lose weight. How did this happen?" That's fat phobia. Fat phobia is also, um, oh my gosh, did you see Sally? She gained so much weight over the summer. Can you believe it? That's sad. That's fat phobia. So, did that answer the question?
Everywhere, everything.
Yeah.
Um, I really like the term you used earlier too. I think it was food freedom.
Mm,
I thought that was just the wording there was pretty impactful because I feel like because of all of this body image issues, people almost feel like food is controlling them. The food is everything you do. Food controls everything you
yeah.
do. But when you really think about it, it's like it's an apple. It's a bowl of
Right.
pasta.
Or a donut. Yeah. It's like, what's a donut? Why are you so mad at it? What did it do to you? I know. And something else I guess I just want to say, being an older person where probably most teens, I'm assuming, watch or listen to this show. Um, Here's what I want you to know. I already said my age, but I'm 45. I'm a therapist, I'm a coach. And I'm not saying this for anyone to feel sorry for me at all, but being a therapist is my second career. I actually had 65 jobs before this because I was so not okay. I was not well. I was sick. Nothing really worked in my life. I didn't get better until I was in my 30s. So I didn't become a therapist till I was kind of older, if you will, like considering how therapists usually, at whatever age they get into the industry, usually in their 20s. So because of that, it's like I felt like I'm playing catch up. Like, okay, I need to make enough money, first of all, to live. So I've been on kind of like fast forward, like, okay, get your hours, get your license. I want to do my own practice. Now I need to learn this online world and now I'm going to do this coaching program. But just because of all of it, because I'm delayed, like I don't have the things in my life that I could if I never had an eating disorder. Meaning, I want a partner. I want more community. Like I want to go take more dance classes. But but I'm choosing to build my business right now, and that's where my focus is. But I'm saying this because my life, could have happened like 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like I could be so much further along at this point in my life if I never would have started restricting food freshman year in high school. So just know you're playing with fire if you start engaging in restriction and any kind of like diety behaviors. You're playing with fire. Don't risk it.
Thank you so much. That was, I'm sure, will be very impactful to almost everyone that listens, especially since freshman year of high school, I think is where most of our audience
Big.
is at right now.
Yeah.
So just hearing like that restriction doesn't just damage you now, it could damage you many years down the line.
Later.
I think is super
Totally.
important to take
Yeah.
in.
And the last thing I think that I always want people to know is when you are a person who is now over consuming food, you're binging, you have those urges. And I don't know if, either of you have ever experienced that. It's a horrible feeling. It's something that's like out of your control. Here's what I want you to know if you're somebody that experiences that. The binge is not the problem. What you need to look at is what comes before that. And what comes before that is restricting food. Restricting food creates that biological urge to binge eat. So as long as you're not restricting food, you shouldn't have a binge urge. I'm not saying that would never happen, because that does. But like 99% of the time, you have binge urges because you're not eating enough food, or because the way you think about it.
Mhm.
So
Thank you so much for sharing that and everything that you have today.
thank you so
All of it
much.
was so interesting and impactful. Before
Yes.
we say goodbye, is there any last thing you want to promote, shout out, suggest?
Yes. Yeah. So I have a therapy practice. I also have a coaching practice. In my therapy practice, I do work with adolescents, teens. I don't work with adolescents or teens yet in my coaching practice. But if you're somebody that maybe you think you have a problem, you need help, I'm more than happy to talk to you. So the best way to find me, and I can give you all of my links after this.
Mhm.
I have my website, which is just libbysupan.com. My social media accounts are Food Freedom with Libby. And the ones I would look at would be TikTok and Instagram. And then, yeah, I'll also give you my link to the freebies.
Thank
Awesome.
you so
Thank you
much for
so
coming on
much.
today.
Yes. Thank you. And seriously, like, please keep doing what you're doing.